Hey guys, welcome to the second video in the tag 13 Nights of Samhain. This one is going to be talking about, and the prompt for this, if you're doing this guys, is tell us a cherished story or a piece of wisdom that is from someone who's already passed on. I'm going to tell you a story about somebody who was a neighbour of mine, who was a lovely lady. She was very elderly. I lived next door to her, and my mother used to chat to her. And this particular night she said, my daughter really loves to do arts and crafts, but she's been asked to do this project and make a stuffed toy at school. Well, the lady's eyes lit up and she said, well, I do that all the time. Come into my house and have a look. And so my mother went into her house, and her husband was sitting there, and around him, all round his chair and around the room, were these beautiful stuffed toys that she'd made, all different animals, all different things like that. She also had this huge knitting bag, which was a bit like Mary Poppins in the hat. It was like you could put your hand in and just pull things out and out and out. And she was a typical wise woman, if you didn't know any different. So my mother that night, when I came home from school, said to me, would you like to learn how to make one really well and do it as the project for the school? The lady next door, Mrs. Hill, she is really good at all this, and she's going to teach you. She's also going to give you the cloth and that to do it with. She said, but all you need to take with you is a pile of my old tights, stockings, and my mother used to save them all for cleaning cloths, believe it or not. So I took a pile of them in a bag, and I knocked on the door, and she opened the door, and it was like walking into a different world. She had like all the plates that she'd saved were all along the top of the hallway as you walked in, and everything was like flowery wallpaper and thick plush carpet on the floor, and it was so homely and so lovely. And she said, come on, come into the living area and I'll make you a lovely drink. What would you like? I was thinking you might enjoy some hot chocolate. I went, oh yes please. So I went into the living area, and there was her husband, Fred I think his name was, and he said, come in ducks, come and sit down. And I went in, and it felt really cosy, really lovely. Anyway, cutting the story a little bit shorter, she came in and she said to me, now ducks, she said, you need to get it in your mind what it is you want to make before you even start. She said, it's something I've always done and it's seen me right over the years. So I thought, well, I don't know, what am I going to make? Well, the thing that popped into my mind was, believe it or not, a penguin. So I said to the lady, a penguin. She said, brilliant, I must have known. She said, I've got loads of black felt, and we've got yellow for the beak, and we've got a couple of eyes that we can put in there. She said, and you brought all the tights, did you? I said, yeah. So we sat down and we was chatting away while drinking the hot chocolate, and then she brought in these beautiful biscuits which was homemade, and they were brilliant. They were like made out of oatmeal and wonderful, and it just felt so homely, and she was so wise. So after telling me how to go about it, we cut the material out, and as she said, now when we get to the stitching ducks, she said, you need to, every little stitch we do, to make sure it becomes invisible, we need to ask for help. I'm thinking, what does she mean? She goes, we need to ask for help. So each step you just say, thank you, because you're asking for help. So I thought, okay. So each little stitch was like a little cross stitch. across the seams all the way along. And then she said, when you get to about that much, she said, you leave a gap so that we can then turn it inside out again and then stuff it. So that's what I did. But while we was doing all this, she was talking to me. She was saying things like, how do you feel, you know, at your age? What's it like for you? And she'd tell me stories of how it was when she was young, because she said, I'm in my 80s and it was so different back then. And she would tell me these little stories about how they didn't have much food and her mother was really poor, and she used to clean people's doorsteps to get the odd bit of money, but she used to make food go a lot further. And she said to me, would you like to know the secret of how to make all this food go longer? And I said, yeah, I'd love to, because I'm sure my mum would like to know. She said, well, it's a lot of asking for help, like I said to you about your stitches. She said, but what we do to make things go further is we get some potatoes, if you've got some, and we mash them up and we put it into gravy, or if you haven't got that, make your own stock. And then as you're doing it, say, multiply, help me and multiply, and stir it in together into a big bowl. She said, just keep saying it, multiply, multiply, multiply. And she said, and then you end up with this like big, thick, watery soup. I said, oh, okay. She said, and then you put any leftovers you've got, anything that you can afford to put in, and you stir it. And every time you stir it, you say, multiply, multiply. She said, and I will guarantee you will always have food for your plate and your bowl. She said, and then of course, make yourself a loaf of bread and dip it in. She said, and you'll have a meal for life. And I loved that old lady. She was amazing. And that was just one little thing and tip that she gave me. And I know now she was obviously a witch. She was obviously using magic. She was obviously a wise woman, or whatever you want to call her. And her little old man husband, Fred, would just nod away. It was lovely. And so that's my story, because obviously my age now, they've well and truly passed away, unless she did a big magic spell and she's still here somewhere, bless her. I'm sure she's a helper of mine, because she really took me under her wing, and it seems to me through my life I always met people that were very spiritual and gave me little tips along the way. So that's brilliant, and I just wanted to share that story with you today, guys. So hope you enjoyed, hope you come back for day 3 tomorrow, and I wish you all well. So wherever you are, whatever time of day, night or evening it may be, I wish you the best ever. House of Elaine.